Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host Matt Marrero along with your other host
Satish Ram. Good evening, everybody.
It's been a while. Not even Gravity Falls. It's been a little. Usually we'll have these gaps where either we'll get, some of our daily or weekly stuff on time, and then all of a sudden there'll just be a gap, and then we're doing Gravity Falls before Monday Night Raw, and it's very interesting. So, yeah, it feels like it's been a while since we've done this, but I'm really happy to do it, of course, because Gravity Falls, what could have been a mid-season finale, what could have been a season finale, but now we know that it's not.
Yeah,
I mean, we weren't thinking that it was.
There's 4 to 5 episodes left in this season at least.
Yeah,
and
I
have a logic for that.
All right, no, well, the thing is, unless you know about, because remember, last season was 20, we're at 17 right now.
That's not what I'm basing it off of.
Okay. No, I know you're not. I'm saying myself.
No, I'm saying, yeah. At the end of every episode in Season 2, there have been those end cards with pictures and numbers on them, right?
Yes.
And they're all part of one grander photo.
Okay.
And so there has been, people who've put the pictures together into, one large mural. And there are about 4 missing slots in the mural, in this large photo.
So that means that there's only 4 episodes left, so 21 episodes, what we were supposed to have last season.
Yeah. Now, some people kept saying to me on the Reddit that it's 5, but I don't know if I'm missing something, because they're like, the last episode, there won't be a time card. They're just going to show it all together. I don't know if they know something I don't, because some people might.
Or they're just assuming. They might just be assuming.
Right. But I know
which makes
in my heart, based on that little end card thing, there's at least 4 left.
Okay.
And I'm going to
stick to that. It makes sense. You see, when you tell it to me like that, it makes sense. Last night, I think you were just saying about general Reddit. We didn't actually...
No.
When we were talking about
the time cards thing is, up my alley.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Makes sense. Because I'll show you the photo, too, and it makes a lot of sense of, you can see the glaring spots where it looks like exactly there are 4 missing in a puzzle. I don't know about this 5th one. I don't know if there's something, again, I don't know about. But...
Well, no, as of right now, what matters is we're on episode 17. This really felt like a season finale, which I enjoyed. I don't know how I would feel about 4 more episodes, but I do. Obviously, I think that, this does warrant at least a 2-part finale. If this was just solved the next episode, it would definitely be a little disheartening. It'd be a little bit of a letdown.
I think it does have the feel of when we finished season 1, the idea of, what was it, Dreamscapers and Gideon Rises? Dreamscapers ended on that heavy, hard note where fuck. And this one ended on a heavier note. So the idea that there should be a 2-part going after makes a lot of sense. I think it's cool. Yeah,
I would really enjoy that because... I just think that I understand, if this is the last season, which I don't think it would be, but if it is the last season, then definitely ending it with a longer, it would be very interesting if it's a 4-part ending, if you will, because that would have been the movie. Because we always hear these rumors about, there could have been a movie, there would be a movie, there should be a movie, maybe there's not a movie, about how...
If we do have a 4-part end, if there are 4 episodes left, that's about the length of a long Disney movie. So, who knows? Regardless, this episode definitely changed the dynamic of where we thought we were going with Gravity Falls, I think. In terms of, we were confidently saying, and Season 3 is not confirmed, so we know that Alex desired either 3 seasons or 2 in a movie. And... I know as recently as 2 weeks ago, some people were talking about how Season 3 wasn't confirmed anywhere. That doesn't mean we're not getting it. But, this really changed the dynamic of feelings because this episode, I think, could have hit another 2 later, and it still would have been just as hard. And it still would have worked as fine. So they have a plan of what they want to do after this, and it's lengthy, and I respect that. But it really feels like imminent doom. Because, to be honest, it's imminent doom.
Yeah, no, there's no real way to... there's no real way to go, oh, no, everyone's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah,
everyone's good.
And right there, like, on that, the end credit scene was one of the coolest things in terms of that logic of, like, imminent doom.
Yeah.
Just the paper and the screams. No music, no nothing. And that really hits hard. Like, this episode was a really strong build-up to, like, a painful, painful moment for any of us watching.
Definitely. And I also think the episode itself had a lot, it really, I know you said that it changed some stuff up, but when I think of that phrase, changing stuff up, changing the pace, the idea that it added in a lot of details that we didn't, I think that because of some of the cartoons you and I have seen over the last few years, on and off, whatever, and even when we were a bit younger too, because we did have good cartoons when we were younger, but I still think that there were just some details that we never have to think about. You know what I mean? Like, we just think, like, oh, this won't be answered, and then all of a sudden it's just like, boom, you have, like, little name drops or things like that where you just have Dipper going, but Mabel, she'll be alone in California, and you're like, oh, shit, they're from California. Right? Or the fact that, you have them go, oh, man, summer's almost over, and we're like, whoa, we've already had 38 episodes or 37 episodes. Did not think about how each one would be, would work out, as days of the week or things like that. So it's just, oh no, summer's almost over. And it's like, whoa, did not expect that. Because if they got there in June, June, July, August, that's about 90 days-ish, depending on when they came in, So
the idea of Stanford disappearing was like July 3rd, July 4th-ish. Mm-hmm. So that year, that date on the calendar was passing at some point earlier in the series. So we knew we were in like late July, early August-ish. So we got to a point where, now we're at August 24th, and their birthday is August 31st, which is cute, because now we know. That's nice. We missed it earlier this year. Thanks, Disney, for your release schedule. Insensitive to your characters, as always.
That's what's funny. I really do wonder if Hirsch could have, or would have had it near there. In Hirsch's world where, things would have, there would have been mid-season finale breaks and all this other stuff, but the length of the breaks just had him sitting there going, breathe, Like, it's okay. My show has been renewed. It's going to come out one day.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you can see at least, he's very meticulous in what he wants to have in there and things like that, even if he's not the one directly writing the episode, which I really enjoy. So it's just funny to me where, I don't know the man personally, of course. I just really wonder, was he just sitting there going, great, so that's not going to make sense? I mean, to tell you about something a bit like this, if this were the case, if he really did want it near August, Doctor Who actually had a thing where it was like, oh no, the world is going to end on this day. And this was back when Matt Smith had his first series. They called them series in the UK instead of seasons, at least the newer ones. His first series as the Doctor, right? So, which was the 11th. So it was really funny because the world's going to end. I think it was June 26th, right? 2010. That was the day the finale aired in real time. Little stuff like that where it's just, during the show, it's just something flashes on the screen when he's not looking and it's like, end of the world, June 26th, 2010. And that was the season finale air date. It's just like, that's funny. I wonder if it was just like, this could have came out on their birthday, or a week before, but whatever. Because if you have it gone if you have a break every year, right? You in theory would have them airing over the summer, then a year break, over the summer, then a year break. Things like that. That's what you would do. So it's really funny how it's been, it's been 3 years at this point?
It's been a long time, actually. It really takes me back, because I remember, we were early on. We weren't even podcasting when we started watching Gravity Falls. So it does have to be about 3 years back. which is, I guess, a crazy thought. And
no, I'm pretty sure it began June 2012.
Yeah, look at that, right? And Disney XD was marathoning some Gravity Falls today before I left for class. And it was some cuter ones. Like, it had, like, Little Gashapa Horrors and, like, Northwest Man of Noir, like, Season 2 stuff. Important stuff, but also, like, back and forth. And it's really interesting to see, like, it wasn't, like, a how far they've come thing. I'm like, wow, the show has progressed in terms of, like, quality. But, like, in terms of story, like, we've really built up to, like, this painful moment of screaming and betrayal and everything. And, oh, my God, it hurt. It really hurt all around. This episode hurt in many ways.
It hurt, but it's funny to say that it hurt in a good way, and I only say that because I think, because I've seen a lot of Supernatural, and I still have to get back into watching it, and I think I've said this on the Gravity Falls podcasts before, I don't hate Supernatural, but I do dislike the concept of the brother drama only because it feels like it's gotten to the point where they need to do the drama because they know people like the drama, but they do it so, in such a way that it's just, Sam, you ate my ham sandwich. I don't think we could be family anymore, Sam. Like that's just kind of how it feels, and because they have to. Because they just have to that season. So, that's kind of, I feel like, the direction they'll go sometimes, where I was worried that this was going to be more anger. More anger, more gritty emotion drama, biting lip, all that stuff, sullen. But no, it was sad. It was really sad because, it tore at your heartstrings in a way that, it didn't make anyone feel like I really don't think you could sit there and go, oh, Mabel or Dipper are at fault for anything in terms of the drama.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like in Supernatural there's always something like, oh, but someone did this, but then the other one did that, so it's like it feels like there has to be a side, and then the people who are fans of Dean or Sam then pick a side, But in this case, I don't think there was really a side to pick, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the concept of just, hey, Dipper here isn't wrong in wanting to kind of, save the world and that whole thing. And then Mabel's not wrong because, she's a twin and she's been with her brother for 12 years. Close to 13 now. So to split that up, it's going to hurt. So...
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion about this episode about who's at fault.
And I disagree.
I can understand why.
But not in this way.
Yeah, I understand the idea of, people wanting there to be a fault, too.
Well, here's the thing, right? What I mean by at fault, and I can understand why someone brings it up, is, Mabel's at fault for giving something to what eventually was Bill. Or, Ford is at fault for trying to break up. Even though I disagree with both, I can understand why someone would say that. But there really is no reason between Dipper and Mabel, having their little argument, discussion thing. That's just a misunderstanding. There's no reason to blame either one for that. That's what I'm referring to, and I enjoy that because I feel like some shows do try to pit you one against the other, give both somewhat redeeming qualities, and have you pick a side. And in this case, I feel like there's no real side to pick. You can discuss both, both how they have merits, but I don't think you should sit there and go, oh, well, Mabel's just being, jealous, or she's just being, a child, or, oh, wow, Dipper's being so selfish. I don't feel like you have to get to that level. You know what I mean? I feel like it's pretty... They didn't bring it to that level. You know what I mean? They didn't say hurtful things to each other. They didn't do anything that was, rude or disrespectful. It was just, it was a lot nicer than a lot of other sibling arguments. I'll say that much. And I think you know what I mean. Well, you don't have a brother or sister by blood. I think you know what I mean. That was really nice compared to other sibling arguments.
They can get a lot worse, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've seen them get a lot fucking worse. So this was just like, this was nice. And I know it's still, a show that airs at Disney XD, but still the point is that it was still really nice. in terms of like the way the argument went, where it's just I don't really see the need to sit there and go, to really like demonize anyone on either side in terms of Dipper Mabel. But yeah, so this podcast, if you've noticed already, everyone listening, is a bit more free-flowing than some of our other ones. I actually decided not to write some notes up for it. Usually I have notes and we're a bit more rigid and strict with it. But, I mean, this one, so much has gone on that I think, we can kind of break our usual mold for an episode that just has a lot going on in it,
Yeah, it's really complex in terms of the way everything went down. And we have, Stan Lee to a lesser point, but Stanford, Dipper, and Mabel, I think, are the ones here.
I love you so much.
Yeah, I know.
The way all right, so we've been talking about, off the air, we've been talking about Stan Lee a lot, and just the way he pronounced Stan Lee as in creator of certain,
like
Spider-Man.
Myself, I was like, no, not Stan Lee as in Peter Parker's Green Goblin.
Yeah, no. And by the way, I'm not creator of Marvel, of course, but one of the key, people who really did a lot for Marvel back in the day, and continues to cameo.
One of the key people for alliteration and the involvement of alliteration in America.
Basically. And hopefully around the world. No, but seriously, alliteration, man. It's alliteration. But yeah, so, it's pretty crazy. That's what I'll say, Pretty crazy.
No, but all jokes aside, because I can't, I can't necessarily pinpoint anything that Stan Lee did wrong. I know he's not the best influence, and that in the long run, he may have contributed to Stanford's issues, that then in turn contributed to Dipper and Mabel's issues, that then in turn led to the end of the world. It's one of those things, it's kind of cool and really disappointing at the same time. Because, when I saw the episode right away, at first I was pretty upset at Mabel, because I think I find myself a bit more interested in, the Dipper storyline, and I feel like he gets shafted a lot in terms of, the stuff that he wants to do and the stuff that he is interested in favor of Mabel, where you look at, we had moments where, Mabel had to give up her play to, save Dipper's life and the journal and all that. But, in the grand scheme of things, Waddles was Dipper sacrificing. In general, it always feels like Mabel kind of gets her way.
Yeah. To be fair, though, that pig has helped them on numerous occasions. And now in hindsight, I think it's just it's not so bad. But also, to be fair, again, I don't know, it's a weird situation, because I know, why you brought that up, because that was just an example. But now all of a sudden, because we didn't podcast on that, I'm sitting here going, but Dipper was not even 13 yet, and Wendy's 16.
Right.
In my head,
it's not even
Robbie
going.
It would have happened
not saying.
eventually.
Not saying that she should have given up the pig for Wendy, but in this perspective of Dipper here,
no,
he has
I know there are other.
Yeah, he has sacrificed a lot. It feels like in terms of storyline for Mabel, and it's not to say Mabel's a bad person, because she's reliable and she's there for him. She saved their lives with the grappling hook. And
also, by the way,
Gideon Rises.
Yes, something by the way we don't mention a lot on the show. And I don't think a lot of people mention on the internet, too, which is very weird, because we mentioned this with Steven Universe. I know that, they're older than Steven is, Steven being 10, Steven Universe. But also, we do have to sit there sometimes and think, oh, right, they're 12.
Right,
Dipper's very mature for his age.
Mature.
But, what?
They're written to be mature.
Yes, they are written to be mature, but it's still really funny how it's just and again, not trying to put down, because, the worst thing I think we can do is put down kids or teens or whatever and think that, oh, they're just stupid. That's the worst thing we can do, But at the same time, again, I'm 23, right? You're going to be 22. And we're kind of looking at them from that lens. No, because I'm like, you're not 2 years younger than me. Well, you are right now. But anyway, we're looking at it through that lens, so it's really funny, where it's just sometimes I feel like we might be a little bit too critical, and it's just wait a minute, remember, they are 12. Again, not that we should look down on, the younger generation, because that's a huge issue, I think. But still, yeah, you know. So I can't really blame Mabel in this episode because, you know, she, like, that's just a bond, you know. I mean, there are just it's you know, there are just some bonds that it's just like it's really hard to break, right? And to try and say, oh yeah, you know, I've lived with you all my life. Yeah, sure, leave, whatever. So it's strange, you know. I feel like that would have been completely out of character if she would have been okay with it.
Yeah, it's definitely. Excuse me for a minute. I lost my train of thought completely, and I hate myself. I was just about to say something about Mabel, and I lost it completely.
I wanted to make a pun about the Sentai Train Rangers or possibly Kamen Rider Den-O, but I couldn't. It wouldn't have flowed well enough, so I just said that I wanted to make a pun to make
I'm okay with this.
That I enjoy these shows.
No, I mean it's true in the sense of like we don't have to. And there we go. Now I'm back on track. We don't look down on them because they're 12, but we do have to temper our expectations in the idea of like. But it's cool because at the same time the show will have moments like when Dipper essentially saved him, and it's a funny moment. He saved him and Stanford's life after like freaking out that put them in that situation. But just the line verbatim. How many 12-year-olds do you think could do that?
Yes. Which again, is one of those things that you can see both in the show and Steven Universe, where again, just don't think just because they are this age they are dumb. But again, like we both said, don't sit there and just think, man, they have to have this knowledge and this wisdom and this foresight that I have in my old age. Like I wasn't doing that shit when I was 12. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't, I didn't save my uncle from, the Space Alien Defense Force thing when I was 12. Didn't happen.
I was in what, 7th, 8th grade? Yeah, I was.
When you were 12, most likely you were in 7th grade. Yes.
I think 7th or 8th. Wow.
That's what I'm trying to say. Remember that if we're going by a certain age, them being 13 doesn't mean they're going into high school yet. She's just excited about high school.
Right.
Because she's getting closer to it. She being Mabel is getting closer to high school. But it wasn't like, oh, we're going to high school right now. No, it's just I am really excited about the idea of high school because I'm so close to it. And oh, snap, I know high schoolers, and also I can, it was like, oh, do your party in the gym. Great, we'll go there. Oh, hey, it's a high schooler that I know. How great is this place, right? And then Wendy's like, no, it's terrible. Because, of course, that's what she would say about high school.
Yeah, no, it was funny because I remember, like, that was me in early high school. And even when I got to enjoy it later on, I remember still, like, just having this attitude of, like, wow, high school does never end. Like, I've been in college now. This is my 5th year of college. And it feels like I've spent less time in college than I did in high school.
Oh, man, that's funny.
So I actually get that. Like, I don't know if it's just, like, the age of what's,
I think it's just the way the school system is set up, by having these breaks after these 3-month intervals. It does sometimes make you feel like you've been in college for, 8 years, depending on how many semesters you're taking, right? Each semester feels like a year. But then once you settle into that groove and you realize how much time off you have, it actually is a little bit more of a load off compared to going to high school, possibly being in some sort of like AP, extracurricular classes and stuff, and having, other teams and clubs, like a speech and debate team, or other teams like a speech and debate team. Like
speech and debate team. I missed out on that. But
I didn't.
I know you didn't.
I'm a coach.
Arguably, like, it's just funny. Not only have you not missed out on it, you've never let it go.
Nope, I'm a coach. But anyway, so no, yeah, I just, it makes sense that she would, I know, and also, not to put down Gravity Falls, but I do feel like the Gravity Falls high school experience would also not be the best experience.
Yeah, no, it did kind of make me laugh a little bit because Gravity Falls High School. And you brought up an excellent point to me last night when you were talking about happy endings.
I don't think we should talk about this on air.
Right. But also when you were discussing positive ends to the show.
Yes, okay, yes. Right, of course. No. I
you remember
now? Yes. I remembered it earlier in our podcast, but I didn't mention it because it wasn't relevant. But yes,
now it is.
The idea that this episode did remind me a little bit. I didn't make the connection with you last night. Reminded me of the Stan, basically saying, "Hey, Stan could have said, my brother's in there, right? Just to stall for time. I know they're like, wait, what? But just to stall for time. But he didn't. So it made it feel weird with the constant, even though I still loved that mid-season finale in season 2, it made it seem weird that he was just like, just trust me. I can't tell you what it is, but trust me. Because that is pretty shady, But anyway, jumping into this, though, and the point is, it's the concept of you say something, and it could possibly end the plot right there. So it's a bit of an issue because then it just can't be said, and then it seems a little bit awkward. In this case, I feel like even though I understand that in this episode tensions ran high and things were going down, but it could have been, especially because Dipper is so intelligent, it could have been just, Mabel, stay here.
Right, like even if it wasn't the biggest, the easiest option, but it was totally an option to ask. Like, you go to high school here, I do my Ford apprenticeship here, and we will all be happy. But of course, in the drama of the moment, that couldn't happen.
Of course, it's better, I think, than in it's better, I think, than in the mid-season finale, because that was world-ending. This was not world-ending up until it was. You know what I mean? Like, Dipper did not sit there and think, if I don't say this, if this option isn't brought up,
right?
The world.
But
like,
what I will speak to is the idea that it might have come up if he walked into Mabel in a regular conversation, but he walked into a depressed, really hurt Mabel, and that really changed things.
And another thing I think that as critics, people don't really think about is, and this is usually more for horror movies, but I think it's also relevant here, the idea that, when you're out of the experience, looking in, you always have the best advice, don't you? The best.
It's like the game show thing. I call it like the game show effect. Like, when you're sitting at home watching a game show, and everyone's like, oh, I totally could have done that. Do you get what I mean? Or I totally knew the answer to that, right?
And they did, but,
Right, but it's a thing where, you don't realize that what adds to that is the pressure of national television, the emotion, et cetera, et cetera. What I'm saying is that, you're totally right, Matt. And the fact that, we weren't in that moment. So it's really hard to sit there and say, oh, I totally would have done.
Yes. It's just really funny because, I've had moments where I've said, if I was in a certain moment, I'd be just fine. And I'm in the moment. And then sometimes I'm able to stand up to my word, which makes me happy, and then other times I just can't because I'm in the moment. And I feel terrible about it. But it's just that's just what happens sometimes. Not an excuse for bad behavior, but I mean, the concept of just, bringing it to the horror movie thing, the idea of, come on, he just has one knife. It's just fine, He's a doll or it's a leprechaun. How scary can it be? It's just have you ever fought against a doll or a leprechaun with a knife? No, but if I did, I wouldn't be scared. After all, I would know that there's a possibility of a doll or a leprechaun in my house. You know what I mean?
It just, and also, I guess I have to sit there and, it's amazing to me that, the show can write these kids to be able to handle anything. All of this. Dipper was faced with imminent death, but he still can't handle, quote-unquote, an emotional situation.
It's interesting, sometimes it's why I would argue he is good to work with Ford, but not necessarily, again, wisdom. It isn't there. You know, the ability to, you know, by the time you're a certain age, you should, and I mean like not like 18, I mean like actually, you know, like 30, 40, 50, you should be able to sit back and discuss things and argue things without things turning into a giant fuck you fest.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, don't fuck yourself. You should be able to just, I mean, it doesn't happen to everyone. But again, with you know, with age comes wisdom. So you should be able to just be more, you know, calm and, you know, and rational and things like that. So in this case, you know, they are 12. So it really does, going on 13, to be fair, but it still has that ability to, because here's what's funny, right? You could tell the wisdom in Seuss in this episode, even though he's Seuss. And what do I mean by that? Because it's like, wait, Matt, wisdom in Seuss? Where did this come from? I agree. I don't know where it came from. The ability that, okay, in my head, when he was going to sit there with Mabel and Mabel was sad after the whole high school thing, I feel like an old Seuss, as in younger Seuss, as in older, you know, beginning of the series, would have talked about his bad high school experience. But he realized that's not going to help anything here.
Right.
So he kind of like, he was like, hey, I know what'll make you feel better. Let's just talk to your friends, because she has friends. He might not have had friends, but she does. You know?
Right.
Let's go talk to your friends.
It was really smart, and like,
yes.
That made me happy.
And it's, in a weird way, it's not that Seuss is dumb, but it's un-Seuss-like.
Because he was possessed. Again,
that would be hilarious. So
the joke I was making to you is that everyone was possessed in this episode, because I was so paranoid going into it. The idea, like, the first line, oh, you should, for Mabel, you should totally go save the world with Ford. Mabel is possessed. The walkie-talkie is a trap. Later on, like, she goes to now Seuss. Seuss is possessed, leads them to Candy and Grenda, who are also possessed.
You know, it's only funny to me because of the fact that it is so frustrating. It's in my head, right? In my head, that because if Mabel is possessed, that's fine. You can possess one person and have your narrative work. It made me so upset, your joke, because I really sat there and thought, my God, if they wrote in a storyline where Mabel was possessed to trick Dipper, right? And then instead of staying in that body to trick Dipper or to go through his bag or whatever, then goes into Seuss's body to bring her to the high school, to then jump into Wendy's body. You didn't go this far. I'm going farther. Go into Wendy's body to yell at, you know, to say that high school is terrible to Mabel, to then go into Candy and Grenda and say we can't be, you know, at your birthday, to then go into the body of Blendin Blandin. Finally. And it's like, ha-ha, you know, my plan worked. It's like, what? I mean, yes, you left no room for variables, but you could have just done it when Mabel, you know, was near Dipper. Like, that was the point. You could have done it. But no. Jump into everyone else's body. Because I do feel like that some shows would have done something a little bit like that. And it's just like, my God, the amount of convoluted stupidity. I'm so happy they didn't. I do think it's a little weird that he did jump into Blendin Blandin. It worked out in this case. I think it was a good opportunity simply because, you know, with him looking in and seeing what Mabel's dilemma was, that was the perfect human to choose.
Yeah, it's funny because the second he appeared, you know, both you and I, we were both, like, afraid because we knew. And then him mentioning the riff was a dead giveaway because it was like, oh, no. And it all worked out. Like, okay, so imagine this is interesting. Like, last night, we had a small discussion on the idea of Bill possessing a time traveler and that kind of giving him, like, as I jokingly said, like, it's hacks, it's too much power. Do you want to delve into that real quick? Because I want to say something about it, but, like...
Well, yeah, I mean, just the fact that I think it would be, okay, if he used his time travel powers, I think it would be dumb, not as a theory, because everyone can have their theories. I'm not going to try to say someone's theory is dumb. But him actually doing it, it would be dumb only because that's, like you said, it's hacks, and it also, in my opinion, makes me feel like, hacks in the sense that he can do anything, so that, again, doing anything other than just taking it 6 months ago, or whenever, 6 months to us, right? But a week or two ago, whatever, when it was just stuck in the lab, it's really silly. Also, that's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't have time travel powers, so now that, yes, he possessed a time traveler, but I don't think he took the chance to have time travel powers because I would argue the world would already have been ruled. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it blinked.
like he can't possibly have time travel power. I'd have to agree with you there if he did. Like, something must have happened where he got Blendon, but like in like Gravity Falls' time zone right now, because because like logically, Bill already is stated to have, like, Bill is an all-seeing eye. So if you have an all-seeing eye with time travel, you can't beat them logically. So, like, you have to take time travel out of the equation somehow, right? I mean, you're with me there. Like, the one argument I thought was... go ahead.
Well, all I was going to quickly say was, I assume it's just not Bill's style. He would rather do it without hacks. Like, not that Bill's such a hard worker, just he wants to see you suffer, so why take the easy way out? I mean, hell, he's been doing the slow and steady wins the race thing the entire fucking time.
Yeah, no, it just, like, to me, there's this whole logic of, like, I get that, and what I mentioned to you last night, that maybe in Gravity Falls, their whole idea of time, because I know in Doctor Who, it's like time is like a rug, or something like that. I think there was a joke made about this, and I don't know for sure. Don't kill me.
It's a more wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey. Although time is like a rug, I believe, has been mentioned once or twice. Not like once, but there's so many different ways to interpret time in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Just do your thing.
So for Gravity Falls, like, going back to the episode with Dipper, Mabel, Wendy, and the pig, when they first met Blandon, pretty much all events led to Mabel getting the pig and Dipper not succeeding. And there was an alternate timeline, but, like, it was a starkly different one. And so working with the idea that, like, there is a general consensus of the time flow of, like, what is going to happen, that maybe even with time travel power, that this was still going to happen somehow. Like, Bill was going to get the rift. It was just a matter of how. And, like, someone could argue, like, maybe he used Blendon to look at all possible time routes of, like, what things he could have done to get the rift and saw his failures, and that's how it worked. But I kind of prefer to go with the idea that he doesn't have time travel accessible because it just seems way too overpowered. Because, like, it's impossible to beat a time-traveling, all-seeing eye.
Basically. No. I don't think he can go through time. I think that's just, I really think that because Blandon has an affinity for that timeline, because he's there more than he's not. You know what I mean? I assume he picked him up with a routine trip or something, because, again, Blendon's doing a lot in their time. Why? It's what he does.
Yeah, like, I feel
it's a perfect opportunity.
Things like that is why I feel like if I sit there and we talk about 4 episodes more, there is a lot of stuff that needs to be, like, there's a lot. Next episode, I think, is going to be more clarification than battle.
On why Blendon.
Yeah, like, what deal did Blendon make with Bill? Because Bill, I assume, still has to work where, like, he can only do that if he makes a deal with someone. So.
Not really, no. He doesn't have to make it. I mean,
doesn't he? To enter someone's body, doesn't he have to make a deal?
Okay, I see what you mean. There's
a chance? Because like, he's never possessed anyone without making a deal. He's had Gideon on purpose, or like worked with Gideon. Stanford, but that was a deal. And like he's never actually, and Dipper was a deal too. So it was like it could be a thing where it was shitty ass wording because like with the Dipper thing it was like I want a puppet and he got him. But like I don't know what I assume Blendon had to make some kind of deal with him. And that's what happened. And then there's clarification on then, if so, why he doesn't have time travel powers.
You know what makes me laugh? He didn't stutter the entire time. Did you notice that?
No, he did, didn't he?
Did he stutter?
I thought he overdid a stutter once.
No, because I only bring it up because it would make me laugh if it's just like, hey, you want to get rid of that stutter? Yeah, sure. takes over his body.
I'll have to go back and watch the scene to confirm.
Because I just watched it, and I don't think he stuttered.
In my head, I had the exact same thought. Now, I didn't watch it. I watched it a second time this morning, but I remember his stutter being overly annoying, and I wanted to kill him. So, like, one of us is right and one of us is wrong. No, one of us is right, one of us is wrong. And you watched it more recently, so you could be right, and that would be a really corny.
We'll say this. We'll say this much then. Something we both agree on. He definitely, even if stuttering doesn't matter in the sense that he sounded more confident.
Oh yeah, he sounded more like Morty is what he sounded like, which is perhaps
funny
a subtle nod to the fan base.
I think it was more, I mean, it could be, but again, acting-wise, it's interesting because that's what separate Bill, from a standard Blandon, because putting aside the general stutter, he still always sounds very unsure of himself. But in this deal that he was making with Mabel, there was a lot of confidence there. There was no concept of tripping over your words, even if it's not necessarily stuttering. It's tripping over your words, awkwardness. None of that was there.
Right, and on top of that, here's one of the subtle, beautiful things. Bill can't possess someone or be active without their eyes showing it. So he picks the guy with the goggles that cover his pupils.
Yes.
Like, you can even think back to when Dipper thought Stanford was, like, working with Bill still. And Stanford just like, look at my pupils, Dipper, look at my pupils. And it's a thing where it's like, apparently that's the mark of Bill's possession, that he has the pupil mark there. So, like, it's just so genius and maniacal that he gets to somebody who you can't even tell.
Yes, that makes sense.
I think that's brilliant in a really cool way, where it's like, God damn it. Because the second he took off the glasses, it was like, oh, no.
Yeah, no, but I do think that makes sense in terms of like, well, why would it be him and not anyone else? It's like, well, yeah, I do think that from a writing perspective, I respect that.
Right? That's obviously not the only reason, but isn't that a cool, subtle thing? Because, if you're going to make it so he's animated to be in their pupils every time he possesses them, you find a guy who you can't even see it. I mean, we knew and we freaked out, but, like, you can't see it. That was great.
Also, now we have to be very wary if anyone is wearing sunglasses ever.
Right. Oh, God.
And that's what I'm saying. Any
the
one
security
of the main...
guy.
Security guy?
Derlin.
Oh, you mean
Derlin and Blubs.
Right, the cops, yes.
Blubs permanently wears sunglasses.
Oh, my God. Blubs would have been interesting, but Blubs, I think, it's funny. Which one do you think would be more telling this is Bill? Blubs or Blandon? Because I thought Blandon was very telling because it's like, why are you here? Of course you're Bill.
Yeah. Blandon was telling completely because of the fact, like, or at least, not that he was possessed by Bill for me, but the idea that something was dearly amiss. Because there was no reason for him to be there in that exact moment. And I was like, oh, no. Oh, no, that's not good.
Question. So, do you think Blubs would have been more like, you're Bill?
I think it would have been less for me. Because, like, he exists in the town normally. And him and Derlin have been around for stuff. So, like, it's not like they were at the end of the Gideon thing. They arrested Gideon.
Okay. So he would have said, oh, are you okay? Oh, I'm sad because of this. Oh, it's okay, you have tissues in there or something? Oh, this is my brother's bag. Oh, I'm sure he has something in there. Let me check. Takes it out.
If that would be the line that I would have freaked out. Like, let me check.
Yeah.
If it was something like that, I'd have been like, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck.
Also would have been a thing that they would have done to fuck with us?
The VCR censors just went fucking nuts because, like, we just said fuck, like, 15 times in the span of about 15 seconds.
Here's something interesting, I think. They probably would have put him without his partner.
Yeah, I immediately thought of it without Derlin, and that would have been a big key.
Here's something interesting. So, let's clarify this. He made a deal with Mabel, technically as... So does he have access to her mind now? Will next episode start with Mabel with sunglasses? And Dipper's like, hey, are you okay? Oh, yeah, I'm just fine, but this happened. Bill got it. It's so crazy. It's so scary. Oh, it's okay, Mabel. What happened before.
Bill has to make a deal to be able to enter your mind.
So
like
a deal, but
with Stamford, right? It was like, just let me into your mind, Stamford. And with Bill, it was with Bill and Dipper, it was like, I need a puppet. You know, they never shook hands here, so the deal wasn't consummated, and there was never any. I'm assuming, by the way, they never shook hands, so the deal wasn't consummated, and also like there was no inclination of like what she was supposed to get in return. Like maybe the whole "I can make summer last forever" thing was him. Like he put her in a trance, and she could be dreaming that summer's lasting forever, and he could have fulfilled his end of the bargain right there. If
so
that deal was to be consummated. That's what I'm going to argue. Because, I don't think he has access to Mabel's mind outside of whatever he can do now that he's in the real world. Because he is in the real world now. So, things are not good.
No.
At all.
Not just him. Apparently, other monsters can get in. So this, I think, becomes the point, which really sucks because I mentioned this, a lot of podcasts ago, and it only sucks. I'm going to say, it's terrible to be right. No, it's terrible to be right so soon because it really does feel like the end. The fact that I said, no matter how much fighting they will do with Gideon, right, the idea that, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So it's just, hey, Gideon, the whole town will be destroyed. Like I care, you'll be destroyed. Well, So there's a chance that, of course also McGucket making giant robots. Oh, God, McGucket might have a robot army. How do you feel about that?
McGucket might have a robot army?
Yeah.
Are you basing, what are you basing?
I'm basing this on the fact that he's made stuff for Gideon, he's also made the Sea Monster, and he's also made Shamebots. Because think about it, if this gets to where I'm thinking, the idea that we're going to actually have low-level monsters, we're going to have, it's not just going to be, just, I'm in the real world now, haha. No, he had monsters that he wanted to bring through. So there's going to be, a lot of shit going down. So we're going to need reserves of people. And, as much as I love, Vermando, you know what I mean? Vermando won't be able to cut it. He can't even get to land. So,
but the preview shows. Yeah. Did you see the preview yet? By the way.
No, sorry.
All right, so the preview shows a few things. But one of them is monsters coming out of the portal, which you actually just pointed out, and the more important thing is that Abuelita is now a love seed.
Right, so apparently he turned her into which is weird. I'm going to assume that God, wow. In my head it's like, Gideon, no. Dipper, no. Bill, what the fuck, Bill? That Bill did it. So, but anyway, I don't know what's going to happen. I just assume that, there are certain, what's it called? There are certain people that can help them, and I assume that McGucket will be one, right? Because there has to be something I don't know if the what's it called, the was Boys to Men.
I think what's going to happen though is the cipher wheel is going to come into play. That cipher wheel with the symbols on it. What was it, 10 or 12 symbols with the based on, this is just my speculation based on what I saw in the preview, right? A lot of people are being affected by shit. Main characters like Mabel, Dipper, Seuss, Blendon, these guys aren't really affected. I mentioned Blendon because there's speculation that the people on the cipher wheel are going to be in some way unaffected by by Bill's tirade, or they might be able to do something.
So you're thinking I know this might sound silly, superpowers. In the wake
Not necessarily, but there is something. There's something there that can work against.
When I say superpowers, I mean in the wake of this shift in alignments, whatever you want to call it, right? Whatever you want to call it. There is a chance that they gain some sort of superior something or other. Possibly mental, possibly some physical.
Yeah, I don't know who that happens because I just don't. It's scary and it's exciting because they're going to have to be the ones. Yeah, because it's not just Bill anymore. And the crazy thing is, they've never been able to, quote-unquote, defeat Bill. He's literally decided, like, when he was done with them.
Yes. Though I do think you can banish him from the mind, though.
You can banish him from the mind, but that's no longer an option. Because
no, that's the problem.
Yeah,
that's a huge issue. So there's a lot that can happen. I mean, we definitely have the Northwest with their amount of resources. We also have, we're really trying to, bring in, I can't remember his name, but I love his character so much only because of how much Brenda mentions him. What's her boyfriend?
Marius.
Marius, thank you.
Brenda's boyfriend.
Marius, no, it's not the time.
That made me laugh so much because now she has a cell phone, by the way. She didn't have one before. She apparently got one just to talk to Marius.
Yeah, no, it's so funny because, again, based on age, does not understand the concept of, I'm going to his mansion, right? And apparently he's being clingy.
Which is hilarious. But, earlier, you mentioned the Northwest. When I started on, like, a sentence of, like, why the 4 episodes could make sense, I said, like, this next episode would be, like, clarification, maybe what Blendon did, blah, blah, blah. We've still got, we've got Gideon's story to develop and finish, because if you remember at the end of one of those episodes, he says, Bill, I'm ready to make a deal. And that was never, fulfilled. It was right after the Stanchurian Candidate episode.
Yes.
He says, Bill, I'm ready to make a deal. So, he still has story to finish up. Pacifica still has story to finish up because her development isn't done either.
Yeah. So, I don't know what they plan on doing, but definitely, there is a cavalry, if you will, of, and what's interesting is I would find it very, very interesting if some of the monsters in Gravity Falls feel as if Bill is too extreme and the monsters that he will bring are more monstrous. I know it might sound silly, than the people that, the things that they're doing. What I mean is, the ones that I'm really thinking that come, top of my head are the gnomes. Like, I wonder if the gnomes are sitting there like, these bigger monsters will eat us,
No, there's so much to do in terms of, and there are some, subtle things that we always joke about, like the extra Dipper clones, which have probably been washed out in the rain. But
I know, but no, we actually, I've been thinking about them the entire time and thinking how to slide them in, with some funny fan canon, and I'm like, no, I can't. But thank you, yes, Dipper clones.
Yeah, no, but there's a lot of subtle stuff that, could, 4 to 5 episodes make sense to me. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they're going to do.
I'm still mad about mentioning the gnomes, because if you remember what Mabel did, she was like, rather invite people to my party, how are we doing with the gnomes? And I'm like, oh my God. Now thinking, if they bring back the gnomes to be heroes, I swear to fucking God. And that was their way of foreshadowing, I swear to fucking God.
On foreshadowing, one of the things I think what might be, might come up because they mentioned it, is this idea, because I know we're about wrapping up here, the idea of a time bubble that Blendon mentioned. Blendon mentioned the idea that there's a time bubble that you could essentially keep time in place forever. And I sat there thinking about it today where I was like, what if that's some kind of way to, stop Bill, where, you freeze him in a time bubble and, he's essentially unable to progress in time or something like that.
That would be interesting. Also, that's another thing to think about, the idea that, if, what if this was not supposed to happen? Because, again, Blendon is supposed to stop time anomalies. What if they now have to come back from the future and say, this wasn't supposed to happen, so this is an issue, so we need to stop this right away, and they do get to put him into a time bubble. I would hope that's not a 1-episode thing, but it could be, again, the 2-episode, and then we go on with, Gideon's story, and if we don't, we've been talking about this, you and I don't think we mentioned this on the show. If they do a season 3, and that's what, they want to do, really hoping that they would end up skipping a year, as in they actually have a time skip, so now they're 13 in summer, in Gravity Falls or whatever it might be, and that's how it goes, because, as of right now, I don't know if I want them to go past summer, getting to school, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'd want that. So if they do continue it, because I know we said we don't want them to continue past their prime or, past whatever Hirsch is comfortable with. But if Hirsch had this idea of, oh, no, we can go farther because, Bill's in a time bubble, doesn't mean that he's dead and stuff like that, I'm comfortable with that. But, because, although to be fair, Bill's the one who mentioned it, and Bill's a liar. So that might not be real.
Right, but it's something that I kept, that makes me wonder.
No, there's always a chance. But there's just a chance that it's not even a thing. It would be nice. It would be the one thing to trap him. But
yeah, I think it's significant because they're really good at excuse me. They're really good at foreshadowing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So that would be really interesting. So we there's a few things I know I want to mention before we try to wrap some things up. We had a lot this episode, and there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to think about in the future. Rewatching some stuff as always. Try and pick up any little thing here and there. But the one thing I think we didn't touch on, that we really should, that it's funny because it might take us a half an hour. So I love when I say wrap up and then it takes us longer.
Mm-hmm.
The concept that, and I know you and I had a discussion about this last night, so I want to bring it to the show. The idea that there was is Ford a jerk? I think was kind of the theme of last night.
Is Stanford a...
Yeah. So I'll let you say it first. You're of the consensus that he is a jerk? Was that it, or have you...
Yeah, he is a jerk, but it's unintentional. It's not his fault at all. And jerk is a rude word here because, unintentional jerk sounds like an oxymoron or like a contradiction. The idea of, he is doing bad things on purpose, not on purpose. No, I think that misguided might be better. Because,
okay, I'll take misguided. I actually agree with misguided.
Misguided I can argue for, because what my point is essentially, and I think not because you agree with that, the idea of, that he projects his issues with Stanley onto Dipper and Mabel, and also he doesn't necessarily understand the dynamic of 12-year-old children. He does to an extent, because he'll make the point how many 12-year-olds can do this? But he doesn't really get how to...
Oh, I thought... Okay.
No,
I thought you were gonna. Sorry to interrupt. It was really funny because you said he understands 12-year-old children. In my head, I thought because he was once a 12-year-old children. Think about Black Dynamite.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he was at some point a 12-year-old child. I know that's hard to believe. It reminds me of when we were in elementary and the teachers were like, "Hey, I was a kid once too," and you're like, "No." Of course they had to be, but it's I can't see that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
with me, I think
as a kid outside of Kings of New Jersey?
No, because I get that. No, I was gonna say with me and my kids, with my speech and debate kids, I feel like it's the reverse. I have to tell them I'm an adult, and they're like, "We don't believe that."
That's hilarious.
No, I'm an adult. I am an adult. Matt, you are.
The emphasis was just you pronounced it differently. I'm an adult. I'm an adult. Which one are you, Matt? It's the same thing. Damn it! Shut up, all of you.
They know that I make old man jokes and that I'm lame, but I don't know if that translates to adult.
You're not lame. We love you.
That doesn't mean that I'm not lame. You can love me. I'm still lame. I don't see what's a
jackass to yourself.
No, it's just funny.
Because in the context of the sentences that I said, right?
Yeah.
We love you. You're not lame. That doesn't make me not lame. Apparently, me stating he's not lame is not enough.
No, because in my speech in debate, so it's your contention is we love him, therefore he is not lame.
No.
And I'm like, no, that's not. No, it doesn't change anything. Contention one, we love Matt, therefore he is not lame.
That's a funny counter argument. I'll take that. But no, with them, with Stanford, it's hard to picture him as a kid because he always felt so ambitious. The closest thing we got was the flashbacks, Kings of New Jersey thing, which was cute.
Yeah.
But he was always goal-oriented, academically fired, a genius. So he never really experienced that like childhood thing too. It seems like he had some of it, but it looked like he kind of fast tracked to like he grew up quick, and then he grew up super quick when he had to fight like this realm outside of ours. So I feel like he projects his issues with Stan Lee onto Mabel and Dipper because he looks at Mabel as someone holding Dipper back the same way he probably looked at his brother.
Yes, no, it's the thing is yesterday when we were talking, I forgot the line that Stanford said when he said to Dipper, because Dipper said, "Oh, we've been together always," and in a good way, we've always been together. And then Stanford said, "Isn't that suffocating?"
Yeah,
because once you take that line into account, I have to go with misguided, because before that line, and even with the line a little bit, I can't sit here and you really feel anything like, oh yeah, Stanford is bad for, because it's kind of like the idea that I was trying to say to you, just the idea that, but if Dipper doesn't do this, the world will end one day, putting aside what actually happened at the end of the episode, right? The natural progression would be, if there is no one after Ford, these monsters are just going to run free.
Or not even that. If you don't go through with this mission right now, they're going to run free right now. So I respect that. At the same time, you see the parallels between Dipper and Stanford and Mabel and Stanley, because you had Stanley comforting Mabel, and it was really interesting because you have on one side Stanford basically saying, isn't it suffocating to have your sibling there all the time? And the flip side is Stanley admitting, basically, God, I wish my sibling was around more. Like, at least you'll always have Dipper. I wish some of us could have had that. So it's really beautifully, sad. In this artistic way where, you have the parallels. Stanley to Mabel, Dipper to Ford, but they're different people. Dipper is different from Ford, and Mabel is different from Stanley. But there's a lot of groundwork there that's so similar.
And also, and to be fair, it's not as if, remember that they were thick and thin at one point. It's just this misunderstanding that hasn't really been discussed. It has not been addressed. That really threw their life a wrench in there, and it really split them up, So that's how I feel about it. I feel as if, there is this, they could have been Dipper and Mabel, essentially. Hell, they could have been, the Hardy Boys in terms of, supernatural mystery, right? But they weren't, and then this is what happened. It's sad, but it is life, and it's somewhat real. And I know it's you might say, well, Matt, you talk about these other miscommunications. Why not that one? To be fair, in that case, Stanford does not want to listen, and Stanley does not feel like saying it. That's a case where I understand versus a heat of the moment kind of thing, where it's like one word, right, and you could save your brother and get him out of that realm. One word, and it might be like, wait, I can't stay here. Wow, there's an elementary school here. I mean, wow. Grenda and Candy are here. You know what I mean? So it's like, clearly there's an elementary school, or there's a middle school or something.
Right, and Candy is obviously shown to be academic because they're sending her to music camp. But
but I will admit, that is weird. Only because it's just, I'm going to music camp. It's the end of August.
Yeah, that's why it was something like that where I was like, they're possessed. But I don't know. It's so hard for me to watch those scenes. If you just watch the split up interactions, between Dipper and Stanford and Stanley and Mabel, because they both value, Stanford almost in a way devalues Mabel because he wants the best for Dipper, and he is misguided in that sense, because it's good to want something for Dipper. It's good to want something to help you, explore Gravity Falls and essentially keep the world safe. Of course it makes sense to him. But he's not Dipper without Mabel. And Mabel isn't Mabel without Dipper. That's the way they're written, and that makes sense. They're 12-year-old twins who've had nothing but each other.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense now that I think you use the word misguided, because the word jerk, even if it's accidental, it's hard because it's just me sitting here going, but, because in my head, I don't know, maybe it's because I've seen way too many, superhero stuff, whatever. It's the concept of, the world needs to be saved. Let's all understand that if he doesn't take Dipper, that's the alternative, everybody. At that point in the episode. So it's kind of like, I mean, hell, Dipper even helped save him, and Dipper, you know, is learning and he's growing. Now, again, you mentioned again, as we did another time, he doesn't understand kids because he's just like, oh, Dipper, you'll be just fine. And that kind of confidence does work well with, you know, with a child. Give them that confidence. Don't say, oh, no, you can't do it. But at the same time, without also telling them how to do something, you then run the risk of, you know, doom. You know, like you shouldn't tell your 12-year-old child, oh, no, you don't know how to cook. You can't cook. Don't cook, you know. But you also don't want to, you know, give them a knife, right? Turn, you know, don't even preheat the oven for them. Don't tell them where any of the tools are, other than the knife. And say, yeah, I'm going to be in the room. You cook that meal. You know what I mean? Like, that's what Ford would do, though. That's the thing, because he doesn't understand it. He's just like, in his head, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm sure he could prepare the chicken. I'm sure he could, you know, put the spices on it, and he can do that and that and that. And I'm sure he knows what he's doing. Dipper's standing there with a knife going, I don't know what I'm doing.
He would know.
So
he's used to sword, but I know.
Apparently. Yeah. He knows how to cut the chicken. That's it. But yeah, so you see my point of he doesn't understand how to raise kids, and strangely enough, Seuss is now better. I guess because he's been around them for so long at this point. Seuss is now better at dealing with these kids and their emotional problems compared to Ford. You know, it's kind of funny.
Well,
he's become Uncle Seuss.
Yeah, Seuss has grown really well.
Yeah. You know, and you can tell that he's grown because now his grandma, starting next month, is going to allow him to eat crackers in his bed.
I still can't do that. So I'm really proud of
Seuss.
You say you either?
Yeah. I'm really proud of that guy. Yeah, I'm really proud of help, I can't relate with my robot podcast partner. So yeah, no, that was a Steven Universe reference, everybody. Go watch Steven Universe. I think we've reached somewhat at the end of our show, unless there's anything you need to mention. I'm actually going to, before we go, though, I do want to mention some of the ciphers and stuff, but is there anything you want to mention before we talk about the ciphers?
Yeah, actually, relating to that. Do you know where the key was? Like, do you know where the key was for this episode?
I do not.
Okay, so normally they hide it as, like, excuse me, like a complete word. Like you'll see something like whittle. Like whittle was like next to a key picture. Right. They did it so well in this episode that I wanted to hurt them.
Okay.
It actually, for people who don't want to, cut off now if you don't want to be spoiled and you want to look for it. If you want a hint, it's around the UFO excavation scene.
Okay.
Now, bringing it back to people who, after you've covered your ears, on the scene where they pan out to the UFO underground, like the bump in the ground, there's a little, like, canyon, crater type thing created by it.
Yeah.
Marked off on the, like, indents on the crater are letter by letter Blue Book.
Oh, that's the key phrase. Because I saw the key phrase, I just didn't know where it was.
BLUEBOOK. And it's a reference to Project Blue Book, which relates to aliens.
Yes, it does. Which is very interesting. I love that I love them. I love when he does stuff like that. Yeah, I love when Hirsch and when they generally do stuff like that. So,
and real quick.
By the
aliens
way, the military.
Real. Aliens are real.
The UFO, by the way, not the UFO, damn you. You got me sidetracked. Aliens are real, now they're in my mind. No, the military is also another asset that they have to fight. I know in every movie the military is, ineffective, but in this case...
The military is mocked.
Yeah, but still, they can do something. You know what I mean? They can be cannon fodder. They can do something. So the point is that, I love how that's just, you guys can be good enough to be cannon fodder. But anyway, so we look at the cryptograms, though, in this episode. And it's called, when translated, it's decoded. It's, did you miss me?
Yeah, that was right at the end scene.
Yeah,
with
the end credits.
Screaming.
The episode's credits. And when the episode's end page, it reads, the prophecy seemed far away, but finally we've reached the day. Give up the past, embrace the strange. Everything you care about will change.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything is different now.
Sweater Town is not taking incoming calls.
That's the quote of the episode.
I love that the Sweater Town thing came back. It was beautiful. Because I was just watching an episode where it was a thing, and I'm like, wow, that's really nice. Thank you.
It was a thing in an earlier episode?
Remember the one with Gideon, and she didn't want to break up with him, and she just puts herself into her sweater, and she's like, Mabel's in Sweater Town.
Wow.
It was the first episode with Gideon where she's really sad, so she has her head in the sweater. Yeah, she has her head in the sweater, and she's like, and Dipper's like, Mabel's not here. Mabel's in Sweater Town.
Wow, that takes me back. I
now you remember. Good. So here's something I want to mention. Just the name of the next episode. That's all we know so far. Also, we actually know that it's going to premiere October 26th. So it's going to appear October 26th. That's nice. What I'm seeing. Also, the name of the episode is a cipher. And when you use the key Blue Book...
It's so much gibberish that you can't pronounce it, by the way, for anyone who cares.
No, you can't. No. Expecviafoxo.
Good job,
which,
man.
When put through Blue Book, right, it reads Weirdmageddon.
Bastards. Sorry,
I know.
It's just one of those things where it's like, stop doing that to us.
I know. But yeah, so we're at the end of our show. We would like to thank you guys for listening to those guys. We're very happy that you're listening with us. It's funny. With us, yes, actually, because through this journey, through this Gravity Falls journey that we started, it's just, it's an amazing thing. Our podcast, I think we're fun. I think this is fun. But just Gravity Falls itself, that's really where it's at, yo. Keep watching.
Where
I don't know
it's
what
at,
I'm doing.
yo.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to appeal to
It's okay to thank
trying
people
to appeal to the youth. Thank you all. That's just simple. If you want to listen to more of our shows or listen to some of our older shows, we have a lot of different ways that you can do it. We have our main website where we post our new episodes, which is tgproduction.net, or if you're going by the old name, it's thoseguysintheradio.tumblr.com, right? It's still under construction, which means that it's fully functional, but it's somewhat under construction. We also have ourselves our Facebook, which is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, our Twitter, which is @ThoseGuysRadio, and our Instagram, which is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. We also have our YouTube page, which for our podcasts, which are, you search up TGOTR, or you search up Those Guys on the Radio, and you will be able to find our channel. And we're constantly updating with some of our older podcasts, trying to get our backlog up. We're really close. And, yeah, we just, every single day I'm just sitting there, just keep on rendering, keep on fighting the good fight. So we also have our Let's Play channel, which we currently have one episode up, which is both Tish and I doing WCW Mayhem for the PlayStation 1, where, we play. It's that simple, every, about 2 or 3 a month it should be, and next one should be coming out this weekend, which will be myself and Tristan Walter actually playing 2 games. So the episode should be split in 2, actually. Super duper long one, what? So yes, it's very interesting stuff, I think. I think it's a lot of fun, because it's just the 2 of us, or me and someone else just having fun, just hanging out, playing video games, discussing how they've mentally warped us, depending on the game that we play. And, you have to just search up TGP, the channel Those Guys Play, and you'll be able to find some of our work there, along with some of the stuff that Satish has made. Satish, making a lot of fun, created WWE superstar entrances.
Oh, I get drunk.
Yeah.
Okay? It happens.
Don't try to put it on don't blame it on the alcohol.
Not even like a fun. I'm blaming it on the alcohol.
Okay. So, so we have that there as well. You can also email us, thoseguysonthe@gmail.com, if you want us to promote your product or your service on our show or on our website. You can definitely do that again, thoseguysonthe@gmail.com. We also have a Bandcamp account, which we will be updating more in the near future, where we have exclusive podcasts. That is tgotr.bandcamp.com. right, where both Satish and I have done, we do our WWE shows on there, which I'll mention some of our shows a little bit later. We do our WWE shows on there, exclusive ones. So we've done 2 pay-per-views so far. We've done, I think it was WWE SummerSlam with Shawn Michaels, the main event being Shawn Michaels versus Stevie Richards, and then WWE Unforgiven, both from the year 2005. WWE Unforgiven, which had John Cena with the WWE title versus Kurt Angle, right, for the main event. So those are our 2 exclusive podcasts that we have on there for the low, low price of $1 each. You can pay more if you want to support us, or you can just pay the $1. And now, something I usually do in the beginning, mentioning all the shows that we've done, or at least what I can recall that we've done in the past that you can get through our social media accounts and our main website. We've done, my goodness, like thinking about it, we've done WWE Raw, we've done WWE pay-per-views, we've done Gotham, Arrow, Flash, Supernatural, Doctor Who, The Walking Dead, The Following. We've done Kampai Senshi After 5 for some of you Toku fans out there. We've done, some of you anime fans, we've done Dragon Ball Z movies, Dragon Ball Z OVAs, Dragon Ball movies, Dragon Ball OVAs. We've done Bleach movies and Bleach OVAs. We've, of course, done Gravity Falls shows for some of you Western animation fans out there. We've done Gravity Falls as well as Steven Universe shows. So you can definitely check those out as well. For some of you video game fans out there, specifically Pokemon, we've done Pokemon video game podcasts that we're definitely going to keep up with as the, as the months go by. Because I'm just going to have to sit there and just sit down and go, beat the game, beat the game, podcast on the game, right? You've beaten them, so you know. But me and Jeff sit there and go, beat the damn game, so we can podcast. And so I think that's really all I can say about what we've done so far. But we have a lot. We've done a lot. So, we would like to thank you guys for listening to those guys. So anything you want to say, Satish?
No, I think we covered everything. I'm looking forward to this next episode as soon as we can.
Oh, yeah, me too. All right, so good night, everybody, and say good night, Satish.
Good night, Satish.